Yeah, it works. All right, cool, sick. Yeah, I'm muting mics, starting music
I know what I'm meant to do.
for like two. What's going on, everybody? Woo!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of While Unemployed, where we three guys talk about random topics to take a break from doom scrolling LinkedIn. My name is Milo, and I'm joined by Rudy and Kent.
What up? What up?
Hey, how's it
Kent is
going?
muted.
Sorry.
Anyway, before we get into today's topic, happy belated Valentine's Day, guys. How did y'all spend it?
I'm gonna kick this one to Kent first.
Yeah.
You guys are jerks, you know that?
We do actually.
Oh gosh. Uh, what was it? To be frank with you, I kind of spent solo Valentine's Day going out to go get something to eat or something nice to eat.
Okay.
Well,
But
the best kind of love is self-love, you know?
Well,
I'm gonna go listen to Mr. Lonely again.
oh my god. Well, okay, yeah. Why not? Sorry, I'm also typing up something like in the middle of this. It's in our middle of our screen. There we go. Episode 2. I should put episode number 2 just to keep things in. What is it? We can keep on track. We can always refer to the episodes in the back. Way back when. So this is officially episode number 2 of the While Employed podcast. Yeah, I spent it with my girlfriend. I have this thing where like Valentine's Day, you normally don't want to spend it on Valentine's Day, if that makes sense. It's the most populated
100%.
day. Yeah, it's the most populated day. It's when the reservations are the most expensive, and everyone's trying to get to it's a competition essentially for space and attention. And so we did a little something on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just as we would maybe like a lunch, breakfast, dinner. On Valentine's Day, we did a couple of things on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. She's been feeling a little bit under the weather, so not too much activity, but it was a very very romantic setting, I suppose, because after all, it is Valentine's Day. Um, and yeah, we spent most of it in. We went out a few times. We also had a family, visited folks, just to make sure that they know that we're thinking of them too on Valentine's Day as well. Um, yeah. What about you, Mel?
Well, that was the morning. The morning of the 14th was when my wife and I came back from vacation. So we spent from like 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. We spent driving from Dallas back to Little Rock.
Okay.
And on the way home, we actually picked up ingredients so that we could have hot pot at home
Oh yeah.
because we were extremely tired. So yeah, we had some hot pot. We watched this movie called Always Be My Maybe. I don't know if you guys have heard of it,
I've heard of
but
it.
incredibly fun. And then, as the food coma took us, we just went to bed.
That sounds nice.
So,
Yeah, sounds very
yeah,
mellow.
Yep.
yeah,
It's a chill
very,
day.
very chill Valentine's Day.
You'll love to see it. Can you walk me through your alone journey on Valentine's Day?
Matt, why do I have to be the center focus on this one?
I just want to understand what goes into the mind of a single man in the middle of LA, where all the all the opportunity is.
You're muted, Kent.
Yeah, I know. It's because I'm noticing my mic getting picked up when Rudy talks, so
It's
gotta. But honestly, first time I'd woken up late, give or take, I was up by 12 for the first time in weeks. So,
Mm.
woke up late. What was it? Went through my normal ritual or morning routine or afternoon routine in this case, and played roulette on what I wanted to eat later that evening. Um, honestly, I didn't really do anything special. But as far as the struggle the average couple would experience in finding a table, Mr. Solo Table gets something easily.
What an average sounding day, Kent.
I'm sorry for being so average.
Where'd you end up eating, Kent? I know you know like all the good food spots. Every time I visit you, like we go somewhere great. So where'd you go?
To be frank, I didn't really pick anything out of it like too like fancy. I went to Osteria Labuca, so it was just a Italian restaurant along East Hollywood.
Just an Italian restaurant. You're trying to pick up anybody that got stood up by their dates?
No,
Is that what it is? You're like, I'm on the prowl. It's Kent
no,
Sauer now.
no. I'm. I don't think that's appropriate in today's day and age.
It's acceptable. Some people might be like, "Oh my gosh, maybe what if like one day we like talk to your kids and they're like, yeah, it's weird. It's just how crazy when I just met him. Like I was in there by myself and my date had just stood me up and there was Kent. He came in with a really big pot of pasta and was like, "Hello, Monco, would you like to share?" And then it's just I don't know, something about it captivated me. Like marketing. It's all about marketing.
We'll try that next Valentine's Day. Hopefully, it's not a solo trip by then.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. That sounds pretty nice though. I mean, just sharing some like solo time. It's yeah. I mean, they say it's the day of the lovers, but really the whole theme of it is supposed to be just love, right? Self love is included into that, so no shame.
Actually, there's a popular TikToker named No Maria. I
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm not too sure if either of you have heard of him, but he's like a school bus driver, and a lot of his content is centered around being a single school bus driver, and his content being well self love centric is I guess
Okay.
how I would. So definitely recommend looking into his content. It's interesting, or it's always entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Could be a good watch.
Were you watching that while eating?
I was gonna say.
No, I was not watching that while I was eating. So probably would have been appropriate though, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all right, man. Valentine's Day is more so share the love. So whether you took yourself out or whether you took someone else out, I think at the end of the day, what matters is that you celebrated love.
I thought you were
Oh,
gonna say what matters is you go out.
You touch grass.
Yeah.
not,
Just don't be on your computer. Just go. Yeah, but so for today's topic, I wanted to ask you guys. Originally, I phrased it as like some of the dumbest ways you've tried making money, but I feel like in this day and age, any way that you try to make money, if it's successful, is not a dumb way. So, like for example, as I was brainstorming today, I've done some weird things. I've successfully counted cards in my life. I have successfully started stock trading, which Kent, you and I talk about a lot. And honestly, when thinking about dumb ways to make money, two come to mind. One, I've tried running an esports team, but that's a completely different topic. But two, I've tried flipping, like after watching like Gary Vee videos and all of his intensity about I go to garage sales to try to flip items. I've tried that.
Can you talk to me about that? Because I've always looked at his videos or like folks who are like even now. I watched a video like 3 days ago or yesterday. I don't remember, but it was a guy. It was a shorts, and a guy went to a garage sale. Like he found a T-shirt for like $3, and he flipped it for like $300 at a vintage store. And for me, I'm like, oh, it's because he already has a buyer lined up, so he knows exactly what kind of items they're gonna want. But for those of us who are kind of interested in the flipping aspect of stuff, like, can you shed some light as to like what that is, right?
It's interesting because I think it's saturated. And I think, it's kind of like a treasure hunt where there's so much effort that goes into it, way more effort than I feel like any of these
And what
like
kind of effort though? Like, are we talking? You have to run a marathon. You have to drive a lot of miles. You have to like what kind of effort is involved?
you have to go to Goodwill. You have to check eBay. You have to have, prior knowledge whether in your niche just like, anything these days, whether
Yeah.
that be vintage clothing, appliances,
So you have to
apparently
have like a target object in mind. Like you can't just go in
probably.
okay. Because one of the
Yeah.
other part is like I go to a lot of thrift shops, not thrift shops, estate sales. something that I
Mhm.
learned when I first started dating my girlfriend was she liked going to these things called estate sales. And while I was there, I think it was like the second and third time around. I think in the back of my mind, I was like, "Huh, um, what is this item? Like, is this item good? Is that item good?" I didn't really know how to interpret the things that were in front of me, and I was like, maybe I should buy this. And like, for example, I have books from the 1800s sitting next to me because at the time I thought that they were, potentially worth something, right? And then I did a little bit of my research, and I was like, oh, you know what? Actually, they're not worth as much if they're not in the best condition or like super mint kept. Um, so to your point, I think it seems like you just have to go into these things knowing what kinds of items you want to buy, or flip. You have to
Yeah,
have some prior knowledge of a thing, and then you have to go target looking for
exactly. Or else, just like me, hence the dumb part,
that thing.
you're standing at Goodwill holding a Keurig machine thinking, man, at Walmart, these Keurig machines are expensive. This one kind of looks clean. Oh, on eBay, it's sold for $40. Here, it's being sold for 12. And then when you zoom out later on eBay, you can see like thousands of the same model is
No.
being sold. So the effort that goes into it is just like, you're going to flip something. Or let's just say you get lucky. You get lucky, you find a an item that is worth some money, but now you got to find a buyer and, the listing, then the shipping, and you're making like what? $50, $60, which to a lot of people, yeah, the way Gary Vee phrases it is an extra $100 a week goes a long way. But to do it as a full time job requires so much more effort. And if you're into the entrepreneurship life, if you're into the startup life, like that thrill is fun, but it just makes you kind of feel, or it really shines a light on how much you don't know about anything and how much all of your prices are anchored based on retail.
Yeah. Also, there's also I think a lot of people do it for the treasure hunting facet of like the treasure hunting effect, where there's like a potential of finding something you can 3x or 4x the money that you spent on it. I'm guilty of this whenever I did go to Goodwill, which, by the way, there's something to say about Goodwill. I also saw a reel where, like, apparently you can't. The stuff at Goodwill isn't directly donated by people, or like Goodwill kind of takes the best stuff out of those things and sends it to a different center to sell at a premium price, while everybody else does really get left over with the leftovers. So there's something to say about that. But I try to do it once or twice, more so with like cards and figurines, because there was a point when I was moving around a lot that this is a few years ago, and I was like, oh well, I can probably hopefully sell a lot of these things, and I realized how much effort just goes into putting stuff up on eBay, and then there's the trust factor where you have to trust that the people that you're going to be interacting with are going to be honest. And then there's the taxes facet of stuff that you have to take care of, and the fee that the platform takes. And then um, at the end of the day, your margin is incredibly low for almost anything and everything that you sell, um, due to the amount of effort that you have to put into things, and plus the shipping. If you're offering free shipping, or if they're having the other person take care of it, it's probably better off buying it from like a bigger chain, or just I don't know, somewhere else. It's kind of like what I gathered from trying in as well.
Yep. The cost to effort, unless you enjoy it or unless you get really lucky, because estate sales are a different beast, other than racing to a thrift store trying to beat the crowd that, the dedicated people that get there on shipment day.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, and then just, hoping that you get something. And honestly, the idea of having to flip something or you don't eat, there's also that massive pressure. And again, I'm talking in extremes.
yeah.
So that was, I was in college. It was something interesting that I really wanted to look into. I obsessed over it
It
for
was the
maybe
thing.
like
Yeah,
10 days. Yeah, for like 10 days. And then I was just like, I'm going to go play blackjack.
yeah. That makes a lot more sense. It was a thing, and to your point about like Gary Vaynerchuk, yeah, this guy is everywhere. He impacts a lot of buying behavior, um, or a lot of activity behavior. So if he says something like, "Hey, go do this thing," you're already too late, right? It's like very
100%.
similar to like being tipped off about a stock or being tipped off about a crypto. If you hear about it, but if you're hearing about it through a medium that you would ordinarily check, you're already too late. Um, and I feel like that's how that's impacted that. It's made it a lot less fun, and I think now it's just I stick to like, well, I'm gonna go buy things that I actually care about, genuinely care about. If I do every now and then find something, that's I'll take it, and then maybe I'll try to sell it, but maybe Facebook Marketplace where I can rely on people locally to me, or someone that I know to buy it. I think I prefer doing those kinds of sales. Kent, what about you? Have you done a what has been like the dumbest way you try to make money lately?
Uh, I mean, I've tried a couple things starting since high school.
Well, walk
Back
us through your top three. Start with just your top three, and walk us through your favorite one of those top three, or I guess the funniest one.
ooh, that one's a hard. Funniest is I think I followed a very standard way of making money. In
Okay,
all honesty, so
very average way
I
of
guess
making money. Would you say?
the most successful one I've had was I used early into my college years. I used to go to a lot of esports events
I
and more
remember.
so league events. So I would get, let's say, whatever merch or whatever stuff they would or swag they would give out at the events. And if if I was there at an LCS game, I'd get it autographed by the pros, and then I'd just pop it onto eBay,
Oh, I
sell
remember
it.
this. I remember this. You son of a bitch. I remember
So
this. I
what was
remember.
it? There were
Go ahead.
the the popular one or the most successful one had to have been getting them to sign or getting the pro players to sign lanyards and then sell them. So on their own, the lanyards were give or take 40, $50 unsigned. But with the autographs, I was averaging about $250 to $500 depending on who it was.
You know what the worst part about this is? I let you in the backstage with all the players when I used to host esports events. I just like the fury inside of me right now is like, oh my god,
No, 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 no. I never did anything with your events. I did them specifically with the league stuff.
oh,
So never would I take advantage of that situation.
I was like, you son of a bitch.
I, if I did, then I'd offer to split the profit at that point. It makes no
No, because
sense
then
for
that
me.
would make me an accomplice. That would make me what is it? An inside trader. No, no, I'm
Then
good.
all I'd have to say is brought to you by Rudy
Yeah, and then I'd
as
be
the
like, yeah, yeah. Suddenly, I'm gonna be outed as like the biggest what do you call it? Inside trader of all of esports, separately from what is it? Let me close my window real quick actually because it's raining a lot and all the water's getting in. You're back.
Okay. But I guess
Yeah, and you keep talking, Kent.
for the meantime, yeah. So what I did was I flipped a lot of like autographed esports merch, especially since League was popping off at the time. So everyone and their mothers essentially wanted product. It was just a matter of where I was able to list it.
Yeah,
Um, eBay was definitely my solid platform at the time, since I don't think what was it, OfferUp and all of that stuff was around at the time or as
yeah,
established.
right.
So as you mentioned, I did eat up a lot of fees, but it wasn't as bad since earlier or at the time I was selling, eBay's take was probably 5%. So
Oh, okay. Actually that's
so
pretty good.
yeah, exactly. So there was definitely a lot of room in terms of margin or room for profit. Um, next one I think was similar as well, which was selling figures, trading cards and stuff.
Okay.
Not as successful because I mean I'm pretty sure all of us have some level of experience with opening TCG packs, and your pull rates are not that great. So I think I took more of a loss on that venture in itself.
Okay.
And the last one had to have been when I was in high school. So long story short, our lunches sucked, especially for LAUSD uh, students.
Okay.
So the solution was back then Carl's Jr. had $1 spicy chickens. I'm pretty sure we all missed the dollar menus during that period.
Yeah.
And what I would do was I'd go early in the morning to Carl's Jr., like 6, 7 a.m., buy $40 worth of spicy chickens, bring them back to school, and then sell them for about $2-3 a pop. And then from there, I started noticing people wanted other items, so I expanded to the other items in their like dollar menu and sold that for a higher price. And give or take, that brought in at the time as a high school student about $100 a day.
A day?
Yeah. So
You know, I have a similar story. In high school, what is it, 2026? In high school 16 years ago. Um, do you guys know what spam musubi is?
Of course.
yes.
So we were raising money. We, as in like my Japanese class, we were raising money at this like multicultural fair just so that I forgot what we were gonna do with it. But we thought if we sold musubi, it would be a hit. And it was. So what ended up happening was for I think between sophomore year and freshman year of college, so 3 years, I would sell or I would make the night before like 20 to 50 spam musubi. Go to school and sell it for like $1, which honestly, this day and age, a spam musubi is like $9 now. So I was heavily undercharging, but I did that for 3 years straight because my brother and I we wanted to buy a Nintendo 3DS when that was released. So we were able to raise money to buy that, and then it ended up just becoming this stream of income that really helped me through the first semester of college because of how fast we would sell out, or I would sell out. It was food in high school is an incredible commodity.
Yeah. Nice. I feel like the dumbest thing the dumbest way I've ever tried to make money is get a job.
Oh, 100%.
I've I've been employed, guys. That's I
Yeah.
think that's the worst of them all.
Yeah, I've worked for minimum wage, and
Yeah, well,
is
that too.
crushing.
I don't have that many crazy stories. I mean, I think I just went the simple route. I went to Costco the first time I ever went to Costco. I realized that there was a lot of candy sold for very cheap in a box, and so I took it to school. I sold the candy for about $1. I think the package cost me roughly like $12-13, and I think I made like $40-45 off of it. And I was like, sick. I could probably do this again. And so I would do that every now and then. Other times I would also sell like, I guess you could say kind of like poems. People wanted to say things in a certain way that they couldn't, and they're just like, "Hey, could you make me this?" And I was like, "Cool, sick. You want to give me like $1 or two, and then I'll do it for you." Uh, let's see. I also tried what is it? Drop shipping. I tried consulting. I've tried drop shipping. I've tried consulting. I tried selling on eBay. I've tried flipping things. Um, I've gotten a regular job. I've gotten a corporate job. I've gotten jobs at startups. I've gotten jobs as people's like personal assistant. And by personal assistant, I mean like personal consultant. Like I'm their personal PM. Um, I've tried a lot of different things from consulting to regular jobs to selling Skittles. Um, I think my favorite one so far has been the consulting route. Frankly, gives me the most freedom. Um, Allows me to be me in the way that I care about being me. Right? It's like I don't really have to be anybody else. Obviously, I have to do a lot of research and constantly catch up on things like trends and other things. But it's not that big of a deal because it's on my own time whenever I feel like. Obviously, with the timeline, but it's not. I'm enjoying things that I like doing. I think most recently what I've enjoyed the most also has been doing social media stuff. It's just been something that once broken down methodically, I'm like, oh shit, this is actually kind of cool. Like the way to think about things, the way to sell the ideas. So I think that's going to be the next thing that I try. Obviously, I'm still applying for jobs, but like the next thing that I try in this version's dumbest ways to make money is do social media stuff.
That reminds me. There's a story that stands out to me. When I went to DreamHack Atlanta, and then met up with you, we were supposed to
Me?
we were supposed to go. Yeah, you, Rudy.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were supposed to go to like a group dinner or something, but then you're like, I'll be right back, and then you don't show up to dinner. But the next thing I see on Instagram is like your feet up on the Atlanta Falcons like boardroom table.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, where are you?
I was at the Atlanta Falcons headquarters, dude.
Yeah,
I took a meeting.
Consulting, I think, is one of the greatest things because you get paid for your knowledge. You're truly valued, like, for your knowledge, and you're allowed to be you. And it takes you to, some of the most interesting and some of the most fantastic places.
I've met some very interesting people in my life. Just strictly because I think when I was younger, I love the idea of giving advice or like just being so. I was the person that people went to talk to things about, right? So, I still remember I have a very distinct memory of when I was like a senior in high school. People finally started, I guess I'm not gonna say finally because I wasn't striving for attention, but like people started acknowledging me more. I was more so under the radar kind of guy, and I finally got invited to one of the popular kids' houses, and I remember going to their party, and then towards the end of it, so I made a connection with a girl there, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, you have to tell me what you just told me to some other folks." And then there was like 2 or 3 people that were like they were telling me this something, and then I was explaining to them friends, relationships, whatever it might be, and they're just like, "Wait, you have to tell us to other people." And then eventually, the whole room was literally around me in the living room. It was just me talking to them while sitting on the chimney, presenting. Like I was literally just talking about like life things, and people were asking questions. I was like, I think that was my first organic like public speech, where people were so interested in what I had to say that they all like the whole party stopped, wrapped around me, and then just they listened to what I had to say. It was like it's just like that. I'm not embellishing anything either. I'm not trying to make myself out to be anybody different. It's like they literally just started recruiting people, and they was like, "Oh wait, okay, I want to hear this," and they literally just sat all around me, and I just spoke to them as if I would, and it was like they're coming to God almost. They're like, "Oh my God, that's so true," and some of them ended up crying, and I was like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry," and they're like, "No, it's fine, it's a good thing. Like I just didn't realize all this." I'm like, all I said was words, right? Like, and so I think that kind of stuck with me because knowing that words have such a power. I've always trying to figure out what my path in life was going to be, knowing that I can speak well to people. I'm relatable for a lot of people, and I thought consulting might have just been the next step. So there was a period of time where all I did was I would just tell people that I'm like, "Oh, I'm consulting now." I had no idea how to do it. I just heard someone had said it a little while ago, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds kind of cool," right? Because they told me that consulting was, "Oh yeah, you just do whatever you want." I was like, "Oh, I was like, seriously?" And so what I did is I just told people that, and everybody took it seriously. They're like, "Yeah, okay, sick. How much do you want?" And I was like, 5,000 a month." And people were like, "Great, can we do 10 hours a week?" I was like, "Yes, yeah." Like I would and I was able to compound things like that. It's like there was points where I was making a lot more money than I felt criminal making that much money, and I literally felt guilty. And so I was like, okay, I feel like I'm barely doing anything. I did discover this. Something's wrong here. I felt like I was doing something wrong. But in an effort to continue saying things out to to people, to public, to get what I had to say, that whatever was inside of me out, I thought consulting was the route. And so I did consulting for a pretty long time, and it got me into a lot of interesting conversations, a lot of interesting people. There's no lay of the land in that realm for how to do the thing. You kind of figure out a lot of things as you go, and there's a lot of things that you get enabled to do that you otherwise wouldn't do, like in a standard setting. Was that a dumb way to make money? No, but it was a way to make dumb money for sure.
I like that. And I remember, the first consulting gig I ever had. And this just shows that you can really capitalize, especially in today's like economy, creator economy, social media. You can capitalize on your knowledge.
Yeah.
Back in the day, being in Vegas, everyone was interested in esports. And this
Yeah.
apartment complex reached out to me and said, because I was like, the community leader and one of the head organizers of Vegas Esports.
Yeah.
They were like, I want to build an esports lounge in the clubhouse of this apartment complex. I want to hire you as a consultant. So I'm like, I have no idea. In my mind, I'm like, I have no idea how this works, but I'm not going to say no because it's money. So I asked my mentor, how much should I charge this guy? He's asking me for an hourly rate.
Yeah.
And my mentor and this guy were actually pretty close in terms of like in a business standpoint. So he's like, you could charge him $50 an hour. Back then we didn't have Chat GPT. But I did Google like how much should I appraise my consulting services, and I saw just this random number, $200 to $600 an hour. So I said to this guy,
Wow.
I think I was 19. No, I was 21. I went to this guy with a contract saying, these are my deliverables. This is the timeline. This is how many working hours I'm going to spend on it. $200 an hour. And to my surprise, 21 years old, he just looked at me straight in the face and said, cool, signed it, handed me the paper, and said, get to work. And I'm like, and in the contract terms, it said 50% due up front, and I think I quoted, 50 hours. So I left there with a check that I wasn't expecting, and I'm like, oh my
We're
God.
about to do this here real quick. Hold on. Calculator. Okay, so for those of you watching on stream right now, let me go ahead and switch this up here. So Milo quoted this guy $200 for 50 hours.
Yep.
So he walked away. That's $10,000 for what? For how long?
For 50 hours of work. So half was due up front, so he gave me a check for $5,000. And then I think 3 days later, I came up with 80% of the deliverables, and then the rest was just, sourcing parts, approving the design of the place, getting on Wayfair and saying, hey, this is the esports aesthetic. Like, let's make this newsworthy. I was doing press conferences. It was insane.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that a lot. But that's part of learning, right? It's like you kind of just throw stuff out there, and you're just like, I don't remember the most that I've coded, but it was like somewhere upwards of like 12 to 15K, and I got it. And it was like for less than a month's work, and I was like, oh. And then I still stack that with the other consulting contracts I had at that time. And it was just an egregious amount that I had in my hands, and I was like, what do I do with all this money? Like, but it's like the part of it's scary because I also like the moment that I shared that with other people, they immediately were like, some people were like immediately like, oh, you have to go consult here, or you have to go do this, and they're trying to help me amplify. Well, then you had other folks who were like, okay, well, how can I help you then, so you can then pay me, right? And then turn into a really rough cycle where I didn't really have any help and things like that. But again, all part of the process of learning. Obviously, sometimes you win, other times you lose, but you can get away with crazy things by just trying.
Kent, did you ever, were you ever given the opportunity to consult? You have all three of us have very similar backgrounds, and we all know, the same, I guess, types of people in terms of influence and importance within organizations. Have you ever had a chance to consult?
Not really, to be frank. Most of my career has been gig related, but not in the consulting space. Just more so, I have X amount of skills or X skills available under my belt. Here's where I can contribute or help with your business venture or your existing operations. And as far as where I've made I think I've made most of my money, honestly, it's been in corporate.
Corporate does pay a lot.
That's where I think the most success, or at least where I've found most of my success. Having some level of structure, I think, is a lot easier for me to operate. Like, don't get me wrong, being able to really contribute my own understanding or whatever skill set I have, and being able to express my work is great. But I don't know. The debate between having that freedom versus having existing structure to just work through,
Yeah,
I'm leaning in towards the existing structure, strictly because there's a lot more stability, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Stability is priceless. So yeah.
it can be. I think the reason why I went to consulting and things like that is because yes, there is a lack of instability, but there's also much higher upside than um, working in a corporate structure. Sometimes, if you're in the right like vertical and if you really do believe in yourself, I'm a person that really believes in myself, so I just went out and did it on my own, or felt like I should do it on my own. Um, because in an existing structure, every single day, the way that I've seen it is like you go in every single day, and yes, sure, like sometimes you take it's not as heavy as other days, but you owe somebody your time, night and day, um, and you work for them. Ultimately, you're building out their dream, um, using the skills that you develop. Um, they are the ones with the upside because they're the ones that took that made that decision a very long time ago to build that. Sorry, they were in a scenario where let's say I just started out consulting. The person that built the company that you currently have stability in was in my scenario when they first started, and then eventually built that stability over years. So to get to the point where they are, you either work within the system and maybe long term you get there. That I'm talking about 20, 30, 40 years you might get there, or you try it on this other vertical, which is what I like to do. You establish yourself in such a way that you make the connections that you need to pull resources together to then create a semblance of that kind of company, and then you build it up on your own, replacing yourself, parts of yourself within the company long term. But eventually, whatever payout that looks like, if I decide to sell, or if I decide to, continue owning the company, I will have gotten there in a much shorter amount of time than it would in that stable. In a stable, like corporate environment, here's my take: it's you trade in being a nobody for the rest of however long you decide to work there, because you're nameless. You're a position that will get filled almost immediately. In the other vertical, you're also nameless, but you have the ability and opportunity to meet people you otherwise wouldn't, that can help you scale and get to places much better, faster, and in a much cooler way that makes life a little bit more livable. Um, and the upside, again, it's much grander on the entrepreneurial side, in my opinion. And you're right, it lacks stability. Um, it's a lot more anxiety driven, and it sucks a lot most of the time because there will be times where you don't know that you have no direction. You don't know where to go, since the leads that you have might burn out, or they might leave you hanging, whatever it might be. But when you're in a corporate environment, you can expect to do very much exactly the same, very a lot of the same for a very long time, accruing to not very much, in my opinion. But it is stable. If you want to build a family, if you want to have savings, it's almost a guaranteed way to get to where you want to go. It just takes longer to get there. And I think for me, I can be a very impatient person. So when it comes to the quality of life that I want to live, it's why I've been like driven more to entrepreneurial journeys. I'm a first generation American, and so I was born into money. I don't think any of us in here were, but I was born into money, and so I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do to just be at like give my kids a fighting chance to be relatively okay, and just have options, because that's ultimately what that buys you long term. And I feel like I have to get there faster, and I feel like the way to do that is through the entrepreneurial route, and that's why I chose entrepreneurship over trying to conform into corporate, even though I've also worked at corporate, and I've just had, from a personality perspective, a lot more trouble working in a corporate setting, and it's why I just struggle.
So then, going off of that, I think Kent, you can answer first. If money was no object, what would you be doing?
Wait, what? Ah, damn it! You all know it's going to be the most basic response.
Let's
Lay it on
help
us.
broaden your horizons. Yeah.
Money was no option. I mean, just like everyone else, I'm pretty sure traveling is part of our itinerary or life itinerary at some point, or even currently. Um, Given that I'm a foodie, well, we all know what I'm dying from. It's going to be dying from a sandwich.
You'll love to hear it.
No, it's not Little Pickle or Little
Okay, you
Pickle.
don't live to hear it then.
It's definitely gonna be. If it was a sandwich, I think I'm going off Cats.
Cat. What's
As
cats?
as touristy of a response that is.
What's cats?
Cats is a like probably the most iconic deli in New York. The pastrami sandwiches, the stacked ones. No,
Oh, time to look this up.
Yeah.
Cats Deli,
All right. Let me.
New York.
KATZ.
KATC. Okay.
I have been here, and I agree that pastrami sandwich is incredible.
Like
Is it?
it's
I have,
pricey,
yeah.
but it
It
is,
is.
I think, worth every penny given how stacked that
This
thing
one?
comes out to be.
Delicatessen?
Delicatessen.
Yeah, Delicatessen.
Yes.
New York's oldest deli. What the
looks
are
good.
these prices?
It's New York
Disregard
prices.
disregard the price. That thing is mad. That you can actually have that sandwich for 2 meals. Number one, and then number two, it's good.
Wait, I scrolled down too fast. What is this first row? $165 for a taste of New York?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, so do we get these and then we have them ship it to us at home?
They offer a shipped option, but you can go to the restaurant itself.
Insane.
Like I was actually there last December, or sorry, yeah, was it December or beginning of January? And give or take, we waited. My brother, one of his friends, and I, we waited about an hour to get in, and then another 35 minutes to order. So
$30 for pastrami?
While Rudy's trying to process that, so Kent, what you're telling me is let's say you retired at the age of 35. You now
sure,
you know for some reason you bought Bitcoin at 5 cents and then you decide to sell the top of like 100K. So now you are this generationally wealthy person. Would you spend your remaining 35, 45 years just being a foodie, or is there something that you'd want to build out? Because I've been there have been long periods where I was able to, especially during COVID, just kind of slow down, rest, and reflect. And I personally get restless. And I'd want to build stuff.
as far as building something, in all honesty, I haven't taken the time to really think about what I want to do or what I would love to build out for my own self, for myself. I think the solution, if let's say I was able to retire and I did have a boatload of money, I think the play then for me would be, what ventures can I invest in to either tie my name to something or advance the progress of, let's say, medical research, right? I'd rather put the money into something that would benefit.
Drop the names
So
on the
philanthropist.
Epstein list. That's what you would do.
Oh,
Notice how
1 billion.
everybody. No, notice how all the cancer research suddenly started coming out, and how all the cancers have been cured once Epstein list was dropped.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's crazy. So philanthropy basically is where your heart's at.
his philanthropy would be part of, would be, yeah, if anything, would be the direction
Yeah,
I would go.
it's great.
Well, let me ask you that same question, Kent, but a little bit differently. What gets you up in
Sure.
the morning?
This may or may not be job interview practice too.
Okay. What gets me up in the morning?
Cat's Deli.
Yeah, if you were not getting paid for a thing to do, what could you do? What gets you up in the morning? What gets you excited to be up and at 'em? And then what could you do if you were not being paid to do the thing?
In all honesty, I don't have an answer in the immediate, or I don't have an immediate answer at the moment. I don't think for the I have not really thought about much other than trying to reset for the last couple of weeks. So,
Yeah, that's fair.
What do you what do you daydream
when you're
at your job?
recently late. Yeah, actually, yeah.
sorry?
What do you daydream about doing instead at your job while you were employed?
Aside from chubby cattle.
And like League of Legends.
Yeah, TFT.
Everything's being stripped away from me. No, if anything, I think I'm pretty sure at some point we all want to go back to gaming and esports, but in a better position than when we were initially in. Given when we all started, we were essentially all at the bottom, and depending on our experiences, we were all getting shafted in some way, shape, or form. So I think going back into the industry is something I would want to do, and you know, I guess this I think this is more of a, how would I phrase it? In a perfect scenario, we could actually change what the landscape has become to back to what it was, or how it was intended to be, given this was our passion to begin with. And now, or I guess given the current landscape, it's far from what we originally envisioned it to be.
Yeah, I think on that, frankly, I think the only way to do that is going to be to build your own entity and self fund it. Because,
Which is my answer, by the way.
yeah,
But we'll get to that.
because ultimately, the
Yeah.
reason why things in esports and gaming changed so much is just the amount of money that was able to be unlocked, and how, I'm not gonna say greedy people got, but it became less about the passion of gaming and esports, because obviously there was no ROI. People did it just for the sake of doing it. Sorry, there was minimal ROI. People did it for the love of the game. To suddenly, how can we maximize shareholder value, and that really fucking sucked.
Oh yeah.
So the only way to really impact that again is to self fund something that is going to be extravagant enough, either extravagant enough to where people follow suit, or it's going to be impactful enough to everyone stops giving a shit about the stupid competitions that are happening simply for the sake of, again, making some dollars. The kinds of trades that are happening with gaming and esports and game titles and players and their contracts and things like that. It's going to become, ideally you build something that becomes less of that, because I mean the ecosystem is controlled by publishers, is controlled by third party entities, by corporations now. It's very little that, I mean, there's still the opportunity for something. What's the word I'm looking for? Grassroots to kind of evolve, because there are games and verticals where that still thrives. They're still very much alive. They're just in different places. So how, you'd have to figure out how to evolve something grassroots in a way that makes everyone happy without making them greedy. Um, I think that would be kind of like an interesting problem to solve in the scene more than anything. But you'd have to build your own entity, whether it's a game and then control the entire space, like the publishers currently do, or it's an organization of some capacity where you're the one that calls and pulls the strings on everything, because money's no issue.
Well, to be fair, the organizational route is probably, it seems like the least successful direction, and might have to be the publisher route.
It depends, because money doesn't matter, right? So the KPI for
Yeah.
success in a lot of these current existing structures are money, ROI.
Yeah.
If we put $1 in, can we get 23 out? Right now, that's what it is. But in a world where you live and your you don't care about, like, your ROI isn't dollars, because money doesn't matter, right? This is a perfect world. You made a ton of money. You invested in Bitcoin early. You have all the money in the world. Money's no object. That then becomes your ROI for these experiences, can actually genuinely be happiness, right? However you want to measure that. It's like, maybe it's a survey that you send out to everyone that participated. It's like, hey, how excited were you about these experiences, these events? Maybe you set up a pipeline for volunteers, for them to get that experience as making an event in gaming and esports. Maybe you have them organize a bunch of little tournaments. You build spaces for people to compete safely, and then you regulate those, whatever it might be, right? Like, you would have the opportunity, provided that money didn't matter, make a difference. You would be able to change the North Star of why, or what people would care about when it came to the entire scene as a whole. But you'd have to front it as an entity of some sort.
Which is because Rudy pretty much explained my entire answer. That is what I would do. Because my entire career has been, trying to build this pipeline between high school, collegiate to pro. Because within 8-bit, my collegiate organization in Vegas, what I was able to see firsthand were friendships being made. Some of the best friends that are still in my life today and will be forever, like the groomsmen at my wedding, were from 8-bit and were because of 8-bit. I met my wife because of esports and video gaming.
Nice.
So many people have met each other through esports and gaming through 8-bit that have gotten married, have traveled the world together because, I was able to build a hub where people could socialize, play, have fun. So, if money was no object, just having the ROI and my entire North Star for my entire esports career has been provide the next generation the resources I didn't have. And when we all started, we had zero resources.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to go off of. But, because that's giving back, especially because esports, and I felt this way for a very long time, esports has given me so much. I need to give back somehow. So if I had all the money in the world,
Can't your sound is bleeding.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I
have
had
a headset,
all the
I
money
would
in the world,
put that on. Go ahead. Well, sorry.
yeah, if I had all the money in the world, I would make that a reality because yes, ROI is happiness experience and making sure that the next generation has the knowledge to continue to put on good events
Here's the thing.
because that's what's needed.
Here's the thing. I think they do, right? Being someone who hosted some of the biggest events, I think they do. They have the privilege that we didn't have already. That's what they already have. It's just now privatized.
Yep, which is unfortunate. But anyway, that could be an entire episode on its own with everything that we know about the industry. Rudy, what would
What's
you do
up?
if you had no money aside from own 10 Little Pickle franchises?
Nothing would change about me. I've had a lot of money. I've had a little money, and I would still be the same person. I think what I would do is I would set up structure so that well, first I would get engaged, then I'd get married, and then I would have kids. That would be my first. If money did not matter, that's the first things I would do. I kid you not, and I would spend a year traveling, indulging in all the things that working in corporate environments has denied me. I would take the time back that I had. I would travel to places. I would delight the people that I haven't seen in a while. That would be my first year, and then yeah, get married, have kids, come back, get married, have kids, and indulge in things that excite me. Go visit the Facebooks. Go learn from people that are much smarter than I, and then eventually start taking that time to figuring out what institutions I should be looking into for education for my kids, for stuff that is going to benefit them long term. To just again, they ultimately will decide. I think they ultimately will decide what they are going to do with their life. I just want to give them the option. I want to give them the privileges that I never had. Yeah, and I think having buying a little pickle, or figuring out what kind of business I want to build, and then pretty much pouring money into making that dream happen. Potentially franchising it, making one or two of those. Teach kids about responsibility, working in responsibility and how all that functions, why it's important, and then setting them up for the future. Yeah, and then maybe buying a village buying a village or two of just like apartments where I can literally move in all my friends rent free and be like, hey guys, like this is right here. Like have these apartments. These are all for you. Everything's taken care of. Call me if the water goes out or something. Like other than that, like this is a block of friends. You can decide to live here. You can decide to live over there. And then if I had more money, I would probably try to invest into some like housing projects and food projects, and then probably donate most of it to like mental health charities, or like charities that are proactively showing proof that they are actually benefiting things that I care about. So like substance awareness or substance abuse, mental health awareness, and mental health services, free healthcare for people. I think that would be fantastic if I can sponsor folks who had overdue bills. Um, just get that off their chest, get that debt off of them, just things like that. Overall, just go be philanthropic across the things that I care about, and then also make sure that my friends are taken care of, so we can all have, again, like a little village, and we can all just chill and vibe. That would be our little center, right? And no one would have to worry about money again, because if I win, so do my friends.
Yep, a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah,
And I think we've all seen, commercial, professional, and personal successes in our lives, which I think shaped why, all three of us are very philanthropic at heart, and how we always want to give back.
I just grew up poor. That's it. I saw a lot of. I also grew up in Mexico as well, and you see a different kind of poor. Here, poor is, yes, there are people with mental health issues on the streets that, are homeless and have requirements. In Mexico, there's people starving on the street every single day. They're not always skin and bone, but they're skin and bone. It's them and their dog. It's pretty rough scenario. And then also how I was raised is, my old man for a very short period in his time was also homeless when he arrived to the U.S. So he makes sure that the person, if he walks by a person, that they're either fed or they have money to go to get food, right? It's something that he taught me very early on. Whenever we'd walk to places or, take a bus somewhere before we had cars and things like that. I think it's just showing me by example to how to take care of people, and I feel like that was instilled in me very, very early on.
All right. So, any final thoughts? I was about to say last words, which that's not a way to sign off. But
Nope.
yeah.
Did Milo go?
Yeah, I did. Well, Rudy went for me.
Wait. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well then, on that note, we'll see y'all next week unless a recruiter gets back to us.
I love it.
God.
All right, y'all. See y'all on the next episode.